forgot my name when I sold the world my brain. Now today I act the same as you. It's hard to see the frame in the center of a game when you're way too entertained to move. I don't act surprised now, I heard all the lies now. You gon' have to bring some proof. You wear a disguise now till you close your eyes now. You must start to see the truth. You must start to see the truth. See the truth. The truth.
What is going on, my good people? This is not financial advice. Crypto with another decode research video. This video will go over the amazing connections between XRP and the number 589 and present some mind-blowing discoveries that once again may reveal a massive hidden relationship between XRP and Bitcoin. Seriously. This number is a much bigger clue than we realize. But before we get to that, let's start with a basic introduction of 589. First, 589 is a special number because 5 times 8 times 9 equals 360, a full circle, symbolic of completion, which reminds me of the logo of Ripple's proper party, the fact that Coinbase's logo continues to close into a circle, the Ouroboros on BG's castle, and even the company's Circle, which just launched their USDC token on the XRP ledger. Second, 5 plus 8 plus 9 equals 22. In classic numerology, the only 3 numbers that don't get reduced to a single digit are 11, 22, and 33. And 22 is known as the master builder, the most powerful number in numerology. A couple more. 589 is the product of 2 prime numbers, 19 times 31, and the sum of 3 consecutive prime numbers, 193 plus 197 plus 199, making it a prime triple sum. It's even the sum of 7 consecutive Fibonacci numbers, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, and 233 equals 589. Finally, the 11th, 12th, and 13th digits of pi are 589. So it's got a lot of interesting mathematical properties to begin with. But when did it actually become popular in the XRP community? When did people start to take notice of it? The moment Bearable Guy 123 put it directly on a meme on February 14th, 2018. This is the moment 589 became a meme and caused people to begin speculating on it, which most people at the time simply took as a price prediction. But then, 10 months later, 589 was featured on the Bear's whiteboard, but this time as part of the Infinity Ouroboros. And it was here where 589 started to seem like less of a price prediction and more like a deeper symbol. Take for instance the word cobalt spelled out to the top left of 589. Cobalt has an atomic weight of 589. 58.933 atomic units. Not to mention Ripple named one of their consensus models Cobalt. Or how about the word COMEX to the top right of 589, which in this context stands for COMEX Rule 589. This rule comes from the CME Group, which is the world's largest financial derivatives exchange. COMEX Rule 589, also known as Special Price Fluctuation Limits, is a CME Group rule that governs the behavior of dynamic price fluctuation limits during the final settlement determination period of an expiring futures contract. Basically a circuit breaker rule for a collapsing market. Next, the word nostro, which stands for nostro vostro accounts. Nostro and vostro are Latin for ours and yours. They are mirror accounts that banks hold with each other to facilitate international transactions. They force nations and banks to hold other countries' currency, which is expensive and locks up massive amounts of liquidity, which the XRP ledger actually solves by making them instantly exchangeable.
There's $27 trillion sitting in these bank-to-bank accounts. They're called nostro accounts, vostro accounts. Yeah. It really is a problem that if we can reduce the time, the friction, the cost, we really can accelerate global commerce. And by reducing that friction, you accelerate that engine. It's good across the board. It's good for both companies in the United States. It's good for the unbanked communities across Africa. It really can fundamentally change the way the global financial infrastructure.
So according to Brad Garlinghouse in 2022, $27 trillion was locked up in Nostro Vostro accounts, and XRP and Ripple can solve this problem. But how much money was locked up in 2018 at the time of this riddle? It was actually $23 trillion, which was stated by Ripple executive Navin Gupta here. So $23 trillion locked in Nostro Vostro in 2018. Well, what was the circulating supply of XRP in the moment he made this statement? 39 billion. Divide 23 trillion by 39 billion, and what do you get? You get 589, that's what you get. Shout out Galgatron for that find way back in the day. And by the way, we don't have to guess this is what the bear was referring to, as he directly states it in his first Lodestar essay, posted the same day of the riddle, writing, 589, what a beautiful number. That one number which has been spoken about since it first debuted like a cobalt blue shooting star flying at the speed of light, has brought about a great discussion inside and outside the XRP community. That number, that one breadcrumb, has led to so many discoveries about what XRP is now and what it can become. 589 is a code for what was getting ready to happen at the end of the year. 589 is the COMEX rule. 589 are the Nostro Vostro accounts unleashed. 589 is hope and knowledge. Since there is no regulatory clarity at this time, the price of XRP is being held back. This is no accident, so don't get tricked and get a case of weak hands. Okay. Just a casual future predicting cartoon bear who loves the number 589, right? And by the way, Lodestar1 on his Reddit shows it was posted on March 26, 2023. But this was actually a repost. The original was posted the same day of the whiteboard riddle, December 19th, 2018. Anyway, he mentions the speed of light here. Well, a little fun fact for you, the speed of light, which is 299,792,458 meters per second, divided by 589 equals 508,985. And really quick, before we continue, let me remind you one more time that a cartoon bear riddler told us about 589 before anyone else and even directly stated it was a breadcrumb. And it's a number that would later be discovered by myself and many others to be fully embedded into XRP and Ripple from the very beginning. For example, XRP debuted trading at a price of $0.00589. So from the very beginning, 589 marked the price XRP debuted. Solid proof of its significance beyond a Bearable Guy 123 riddle, and directly connecting the founders of XRP to a sort of orchestrated embedding of 589. And what about the reverse, 98.5% of the year? What's that day? Christmas. Shout out to Eric Smith in this group for putting me onto that find. How many people does Brad Garlinghouse follow on X? 589. And he's maintained that peg for a long time. How many does Ripple follow on X? 985. And they've maintained that peg for a long time. And I don't really talk about gematria calculations in this group, but it's worth noting that Donald Trump is 589 and Jesus is 985. The serial number for the trademark of Ripple's stablecoin Real USD starts with 985. You think that was random? The day the SEC announced a settlement with Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson was 589, May 8, 2025. Does that not seem a bit staged to you? Could the SEC even be in on it? Are things a lot more connected behind the scenes than we realize? I mean, Judge Torres made her final judgment in the Ripple SEC lawsuit on August 7th, 2024, which marked exactly 589 weeks since she took office on April 23rd, 2013. Clearly, there's an active plan to create this many coincidences. And you can't forget Hidden Road's double 589 address. The institutional-grade crypto gateway that Ripple acquired for $1.25 billion. The address of their headquarters was 589 5th Avenue, which is 5, 8th floor, which is 8, New York, 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7 equals 9, 589. And even Ripple partner Bank of America's address is 589. And what takes these real embedded connections to the next level is that before they were ever even found, it wasn't just Bearable Guy teasing us about 589. We had David Schwartz, who just couldn't resist. His famous 589 bag tweet, the time he tweeted, "Here's an example of something I should never ever tweet," of a $589,000 check. The time he tweeted, "I don't mean to encourage crazy conspiracies," above a picture of gas prices listing diesel at 589. The time he said he'd flip the switch if Vitsa, the founder of XRPL Labs, sent him 0.589 Bitcoin. And not to mention, Vitsa gets in on the fun as well, posting a pic of a lottery winner who won $58.9 million, a pic of the carbon dioxide meter at XRPL Labs HQ showing 589, a pic of 5.89 seconds transaction speed, a crawl, walk, run app that sends a transaction after walking exactly 589 steps, his XRPL Labs dinner bill. Even the Zaman wallet he created for the XRPL is literally 58.9 megabytes to download. So you have David Schwartz, the founder of the XRP Ledger, and Vitsa, the founder of XRPL Labs, constantly joking about 589, when meanwhile, 589 has been cryptically embedded into Ripple and XRP in plain sight since the very beginning, and a riddling cartoon bear put us onto it in the first place before anybody else. But you know how I mentioned the possibility of the SEC being in on it earlier? Or the idea of a much deeper coordination going on behind the scenes? Well, this has to be one of the craziest 589s hidden in plain sight I've ever seen. Seriously, how do you explain this one? CNBC interviewed Brad Garlinghouse less than a year ago on November 16th, 2024. And about 4 minutes in, shows footage of a $100 bill with serial number 98589.
I think the macro trends around crypto are very, very, very positive. We can debate, how quickly those things are going to happen.
You guys, that was intentional. I don't know who we're waiting for at CNBC to give us confirmation because that'll never happen. So I'm going to say it again. That was intentional. That is an impossible coincidence. Could it mean CNBC is in on it as well? Credit to XRP Drops for that find. But you know what's even more interesting about that? It's not an XRP that 589 is sitting beneath in the video. It's a Bitcoin. And that got me thinking. Since Bitcoin and XRP are complementary, as I discussed in this video, because Bitcoin's proof-of-work energy consumption is by design to generate real value, and how it will be sent over the clean green consensus protocol of the XRP ledger, making them complementary. And also in this video, how the colors of the Bitcoin and Ripple logos were likely chosen because they match ionized liquid gold and silver, which implies the hidden relationship of gold store of value and silver payments, again making them complementary. This all meant to me there was likely a singular effort behind the creation and direction of both of these world-changing cryptos that simply isn't stated publicly, but that the pieces are there to put together. Remember this clip of Brad Garlinghouse, where he said some of the creators of the XRP ledger were actually early engineers of Bitcoin?
The XRP ledger is an open source, decentralized technology, not dissimilar than Bitcoin. And some of the creators of the XRP ledger actually had been early engineers that worked on Bitcoin.
So some of the same people who worked on Bitcoin built XRP. That's a truth drop right there. You have two crucial cryptos, both needed for the future financial system, that were designed in a complementary way by the same people. And it's also no secret David Schwartz worked on Bitcoin as well. For example, here's him with his early Bitcoin miner shirt. And his experience with Bitcoin is even how he got the job at Ripple in the first place. He shared the email he wrote Jed McCaleb in 2011 to get the job, writing he currently has the highest reputation on Bitcoin's Stack Overflow site, is an active participant in the Bitcoin forums, and a respected member of the Bitcoin community. So a man who helped build Bitcoin, who literally had one of the highest reputations of all Bitcoin developers, who worked on it passionately before he ever took the job at Ripple, who people constantly comment about being Satoshi himself, and who just so happens to love the number 589, right? Okay, if David Schwartz, the 589 man, really is Satoshi, or at least involved with the team behind Satoshi, Could that explain why the first time the Bitcoin source code was ever posted in a public forum was 589, May 8, 09? If everything is way more orchestrated behind the scenes than we realize, could it have been a clever team of cryptographers who enjoy riddling, who not only built Bitcoin, but who started the whole 589 thing to begin with? To kick things off with a subliminal 589 embedded into Bitcoin itself? Satoshi didn't stick around for long, by the way. He sent his last ever email on April 23, 2011, saying he was moving on to other things. Okay, what happened exactly 5 years, 8 months, and 9 days after Satoshi's last email? Brad Garlinghouse was named CEO of Ripple. 5 years, 8 months, 9 days after April 23, 2011 is January 1st, 2017, the first day Brad Garlinghouse was CEO of Ripple. What in the world are the chances, you guys? And if 589 isn't a clue that things are quietly coordinated behind the scenes, how do you explain this? On May 8, 09, the same date the Bitcoin source code was published in a public forum for the first time ever, the SEC approved release number 34-59895, the file that established the regulatory blueprint that laid the legal and logistical foundation for future digital asset products like Bitcoin ETFs, foreshadowing the tokenized financial future we are entering right now. And it ended in 59895. I said to ChatGPT, holy shit, this specific file served as the whole playbook for digital asset ETFs? And it replied, yes, holy shit is right. This specific SEC file from May 8, 2009 didn't just approve a gold ETF. It codified the architecture that would become the playbook for every single digital asset ETF that followed. In fact, the SEC's approval order for spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products on January 10, 2024, explicitly relied on the precedent set by release number 59895, which again was on May 8, 09, the same day the Bitcoin source code was publicly posted for the first time. Do you realize what this means? It means 589 was coded into Bitcoin and digital assets in general before XRP. We already knew they were complementary systems, but this seals the deal. Is that the true meaning behind 589 for us world stage riddle solvers? A breadcrumb, as Bearable Guy 123 called it, that reveals the effort to implement digital assets goes way beyond Satoshi, Ripple, or a single entity? That they're all in this together, behind the scenes, orchestrating the perfect play on the world stage to bring their vision of a fourth industrialization and an abundance economy to fruition? And XRP is the final piece, the 589, the 360 that completes the circle? Could Satoshi himself have went on to help build XRP, the next piece of the puzzle? Could David Schwartz really be Satoshi after all? Or part of that group? And if crypto's biggest enemy, the SEC, was secretly working with crypto's most prominent leaders all along, as evidenced by their similar usage of 589 code embedding into dates and files, and we really are watching a play on the world stage, could it be time for XRP to take the starring role? The people who built XRP built Bitcoin first, and it reached a $2 trillion market cap. Could XRP be next? To end, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice, but it is not financial advice.crypto. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. Please like this video and share the NFA research group with your friends and family. And as always, stay bullish.